and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Let's get ready to rumble!
This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Montana looking, throwing in the end zone. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Little roller up along first. Behind the back. It gets through Buster. Here comes Knight and the Mets win it.
Yes, welcome back to Sports and Swords. This is episode, I think, 160. And we are here on a Monday morning. We go live on YouTube every Monday and Saturday at 10 a.m. If you like these videos, please sure give us a thumbs up, click on the subscribe button, and you can get notified whenever we go live. You can also find Sports and Swords anywhere podcasts are played. You can go to our website, www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com. And, of course, I am one of your hosts. My name is Shane Moore.
And I'm the Brian Man.
And my wife says that she is here now, so we can start the show. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. So we got a little bit to talk about today. This is a kind of a slow news day, but we found things to talk about because that's what we do. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Shane and the Brian Man, or on Twitter at Shane and Brian Man. All right, today we're going to be talking a little bit about Anthony Davis. There was some news that hit, some brief news that came out saying how he is demanding a trade now, which is I'm intrigued by. We talked about this a little bit last show, and I want to talk about it a little bit more. So we'll talk about that. We will also talk about the Royal Rumble. You watched it. Only thing I know about it is the Brock meme and GIF that's out there with his crazy face. That's all over Twitter. That's the only thing I know. So I'm assuming he won something, possibly the Royal Rumble. I don't know, but you'll let me know, and we can talk about. There's a tweet that I saw on Twitter, and
That's where you would find tweets.
yes, well, I mean, you could find them if you were talking to birds, but that was the dumbest dad joke ever. So anyway,
Would you get that one from Alexa?
No, maybe. Well, we're going to actually talking to her a little bit because I want to hear some Patriots burns. I listened to one yesterday and it literally almost knocked me off my chair. I was laughing so hard. So anyway, I saw a tweet on Twitter, and the tweet said, if you could pick 4 movies, and we're going to just get into this right now. Right now, ready?
You are listening to Sports and Swords with
You're going
Shane
to hit me with this one right off the bat, huh?
Yes, because we got a great show. Let's go. Yeah. Steven Spielberg's movies. There's 4 movies that they selected. And you are allowed to keep 3, and the 4th one is thrown out of existence forever. All right?
Okay.
These 4 movies are
Ready.
Jaws. That's a keeper for you, for guaranteed. Jurassic Park. I would assume that's a keeper for you.
We'll see. Maybe not.
Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Keeper.
And E.T.
Okay, so this is between E.T. and Jurassic Park. I'm going to have to bid a fond farewell to Jurassic Park.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I love E.T. E.T. was one of the first movies I ever saw in the movie theater.
Me too.
Great memories of it. It's such a groundbreaking and iconic movie. Not that Jurassic Park is not, because it really is. But this was definitely a little easier than I thought it would be.
Not for me.
Jaws and Raiders were. As soon as you said those two, I was like, well, okay, Jurassic Park's going to be gone, or whatever's next is going to be gone. And
see, for me, Jurassic Park and Jaws are probably in my top 10 movies of all time.
Yeah, Jurassic Park's not in my top 10 movies of all time. It's not even close, but it's a great movie.
Indiana Jones isn't. Indiana Jones, the Raiders, but it is one of my all-time. Like those, just that trilogy in general is one of my favorite trilogies of all time. Now, E.T., yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine with E.T. going home. Like I saw that movie in the theater. I've probably seen it once since, and I have no aspirations to see that movie ever again.
No, I've seen it multiple times. It's just such a classic to me. It really is. I love it. I think the movie was just so. It was groundbreaking at the time too, and it was ahead of its time probably a little bit. And I just love watching E.T. The scene of him getting drunk is just absolutely. Yeah. Oh, it's just so hilarious. Funny. I love it. Yeah, I still laugh at it. I can still laugh at that scene. It's a great movie. It's just an iconic movie. I think the problem is for me that again, having seen that in the theater, I think it might have been one of my first movie theater experiences, because I'm not, off the top of my head, I don't know what year in the 80s that came out. But I feel like that was one of my very first movie theater experiences, and it's one that stuck with me. I mean, it's a tough choice. Don't get me wrong. Jurassic Park is absolutely a great movie, but yeah, I would probably keep E.T. between the two of them.
I would not have guessed that in a million years.
Raiders and Jaws are my number 2 and number 3 movies of all time, so those were not going anywhere. Yeah. 2 and 3 in that order, Jaws and Raiders. So there was no way those two movies were going.
I figured, though. I mean, I knew those two. I mean, you always talk about, Indiana Jones, and you always talk about Jaws, but I've never really heard you talk much about E.T. So I'm shocked.
Well, they haven't talked a lot about Jurassic Park either, other than the fact that...
But it comes up more often.
It comes up, yeah I guess.
So, I don't know. I would never have guessed that.
I would imagine most people would probably agree with you, too. But
we've been together for like 20 years, man. Not really, but about 15. And I learn new things about you every day.
That's what happens when you bring surprise Steven Spielberg questions on me. You never know which way it'll go.
All right, so...
Also, I love Reese's Pieces, and
those are good. I mean, they're not as good as the Buttercups, but they are good.
It's just another classic part of the E.T. lore.
It is. All right, so we'll move on from movies there. I mean, because that was a little bit of a...
Where do you think you're going? I'm going to sort it out.
So we sorted it out. We sorted it out. We figured it out. And now we are going to head on over to... Because I want to talk about a little Anthony Davis. Now, there has been a trade demand by Anthony Davis. We had talked about this last episode. Like, his agent, Anthony Davis' agent, came out and told Woj that he wants to be traded. He wants out.
He will not sign an extension.
He's not going to sign an extension. He wants to be out. And hopefully, I think he's hoping that he can get that done sooner than later. Now, the one thing that I have heard about this is that there is a potential that he could force his way to the Lakers if that's what he wanted. Now, with that being said, I don't know if that's actually something that could happen. Because ultimately, it's the Pelicans. They have to... I mean, he could just say, my finger's still bothering me. I can't play. And, really hurt them. Which ultimately will give them a good draft pick. So that's, it's not... I don't know how much leverage he actually has. Unless he just goes there and plays well enough so that they get a terrible draft pick. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I wouldn't think that he's that kind of player. So, I don't know. This is a very interesting scenario. I mean, what do you think about Anthony Davis and possibly the trade and the demanding of a trade? And what do you think?
I mean, it's not surprising to me that he would want out of there.
Oh, no.
I think, the competitive balance in the West is clearly shifted to the West Coast. And really, right now, you've got Golden State, who is still clearly in the driver's seat, certainly this year. And, even if they lose Durant, Golden State is still going to be very competitive in the West without him, because they were before.
Yeah.
And they will be again. They'll certainly get knocked down a peg. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't see them being quite the force that they have been in the past few years. And I think that makes, if you're the Lakers, that makes the allure of putting LeBron and Anthony Davis together, we talked about this on the last show, for a few years, that's very enticing. That's a great foundation right there. I mean, the problem with the Lakers is, your supporting cast is going to take a little bit of a hit because you're going to have to trade some of those guys. Ingram seems like a guy that might have to go. possibly Lonzo. You're gonna rob Peter slightly to pay Paul, but paying Paul is going to give you an unbelievable return. You're getting a top 5 NBA player, not to mention God knows how many draft picks you're going to have to give up. It's not going to be cheap. Because the other thing
that's the thing. I think the Lakers are such a good fit because the Lakers don't need the draft picks. They don't need. They have LeBron for now.
No. Right. They don't. You're right. They don't.
And they have money.
I mean, they could theoretically trade their next 3 years worth of first round picks.
Yeah.
Again, that generally tends not to be very enticing in the NBA because anything outside of a lottery pick is not considered to be that big of a deal. When wasn't it last year? Or this preseason, when the Rockets were offering 4 first-round picks as part of a package for, or it was said to be rumored for, who was it for? Somebody big, somebody really big.
Jimmy Butler or something?
Yeah, it was Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. That's right. It was the Jimmy Butler offer, and that never materialized. So first-round picks, when you're getting them from teams that are probably going to be in the playoffs, and if not deep in the playoffs, are not really that big of a deal.
Right.
Because you're going to end up with some really good European player who's fundamentally sound, but probably not going to.
The thing that you could do, you could, and this is something that I don't know how deep you're allowed to go into the future, but you could say, LeBron's there for 4 years. We're going to take first-round draft picks from year 5, 6, 7, 8. But if they have Anthony Davis and they sign him to a 6-year deal, now they're still going to be a good team. But so it's one of those things that's just, it's tough. It's a tough call but they could. They could return Lonzo Ball. They could get possibly Hart or Ingram or both. They could really get a big haul for them. Those are NBA ready players that, and especially with Ingram and Hart and Kuzma, those guys, they are potentially those are potential all-stars like Ingram and Kuzma. Hart is prone to being pretty good too.
The problem where you're going to have a potential issue for the Lakers is that you're going to trade all these guys. You're going to leave holes on your bench and in your starting lineup. You're going to have these 2 great superstars, and those 2 alone will automatically almost get you into the playoff. 40% of your team.
Oh, I think they're if they
2 of the best players in the league. You're going to still get into the playoffs with them. But the problem you're going to have is you're going to have some bench depth issues, especially right off the bat. And then you're not going to have any first-round picks to supplement that for probably the next 2 to 4 years, depending on how many you give away, which is going to force you to dip heavily into free agency. And you're going to have 2 guys that are going to have max contracts, and then you're going to have to go into free agency to supplement the rest of the team. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be easy. But, those 2 guys alone, like I said, they'll get you to the dance floor. It's just a question of how far they'll get you, but you're going to really have to be able to supplement through the draft, through free agency, because the draft is not going to really have many options for you. Second rounders in the NBA, some of those guys are lucky just to make a team.
Yeah, they're more G League status. Than anything else. But so Pink Floyd says LeBron and AD can score 60 points. They can both score 30 points easy. That's that duo is great. I agree with that. Those 2 guys alone, they will get you on the dance floor. I don't know. I think this puts them in line as the second best team in the league. I think that they can provide the most competition for the Golden State Warriors with that team. All depending on who they end up having to trade. If they have to trade, that's a little different. I don't know. If they have to get rid of all of their talent, all of their talent, like Hart, Kuzma, Ingram, and Lonzo, if they have to get rid of all of those guys, that's going to be difficult. Now you're strapped. Now you're strapped with a bunch of G Leaguers, which you don't really want. Now, if they can keep one of those guys, like a Hart, or if they can keep a Lonzo, I'd rather have Hart than Lonzo because I think that just the way that the team is right now, you could have Rondo run point. That's fine. He is a good point guard. He is your prototypical point guard. He plays tough defense, and on top of that, he looks to pass. He doesn't have a great shot, but you don't need him to have a great shot. And then you have Lance Stevenson, who's pretty good too. He's another guy who gets in your grill, and that will frustrate the Warriors. Like him and Lonzo will frustrate the Warriors. And then you have that rim protector in Anthony Davis, which is also big. And then you don't something that Anthony Davis has said is he doesn't want to play center. He doesn't like playing center. And you know what? When you have JaVale McGee at your center, you don't need Tim because now you have 2 rim protectors. That's going to be almost impossible to score on inside. So and the Warriors are great at scoring on the outside, but when you have someone like Anthony Davis possibly guarding someone who can get a hand in the face of like a Kevin Durant or something, it's a much better fit for a team that can really step up and play against against the Warriors. Because as of right now, I mean, the Celtics haven't proven that they have the greatest chemistry yet, and that would be an NBA Finals matchup with them and the Warriors. But I don't know. I mean, that's the only other team I can think of that can actually give it to the Warriors in the finals, and that would be this year. Is that the Celtics are the only other team right now that really have a shot at beating the Warriors in the playoffs. But if the Lakers happen to land them, or if the Celtics have done some crazy things, they have been known to be involved in this trade too. They have plenty of talent. They have plenty of picks. They could do stuff. And I heard the 76ers are also involved as well, possibly giving up Ben Simmons, which I think would be a terrible move because apparently Ben Simmons and Embiid don't really get along well on the court. But I don't think that's. I think you should keep Ben Simmons. He's so young, and that'd be a tough. I mean, if you're just looking because they have a problem, if you're looking at trading Anthony Davis for Embiid, that might work because now you have that guy. But like you said, Anthony Davis doesn't want to play center, and he would be stuck playing center if he ended up going for Embiid. And there's no way that they're going to trade Embiid. So I don't know. This is a very tricky situation. I'd like to see the Lakers do this, but
I'd love to see the Spurs somehow throw their hat in the ring here. But and they could because Aldridge would just Aldridge center, and you'd have Davis at power forward, and then you'd have DeRozan. It would be an unbelievable 3. I mean, it would probably.
Who would they give up?
That's the thing. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I don't know who they'd give up. I mean, honestly, they'd probably have to give up
Popovich.
I mean, yeah, right? I would not be willing to do it. Popovich is one of those guys. If I wouldn't trade. Coaches get traded. Mm-hmm. I would never trade him. That's part of the reason. If not, that would be like the Patriots trading Belichick away. It's just not going to happen. Minus the cheating, but it's not going to happen.
I don't know who Pink Floyd is. I mean, he's
I don't know either.
I don't know, but he said. So he said he thinks the lineup will be Rondo, Hart, LeBron, AD, and McGee. Yeah, that's probably pretty close. Yeah. And then you have, he said, build around them. He agrees. And then he says, and hi, guys. Ha. So I don't know who Pink Floyd is. I don't know. Maybe Clint? Is he?
Could be.
Is he posting under a different alias here? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But it's Pink Floyd, and his little, picture is pink. So I don't know. It's good. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what's going on. But whoever it is, hi back.
Hi.
All right. So I think this is very interesting. This is something I'm definitely going to keep an eye on. Definitely going to keep following. I would like to hopefully see something happen sooner than later. Because I really want to start talking about the NBA. I'm getting excited. CP3 came back. They won. They played against not the best Orlando team, but they played and they beat them. Yeah. And CP3 and Harden did not play well together on the court, but
Harden still went bonkers points. He dropped 40 again, right?
Yeah.
Ho-hum.
Yeah, only 40. But they did not play well together. They played better separately. That's something that can't happen in the playoffs. So there's a lot. There's a lot of issues.
Season, they could win a lot of games that way, though.
Yeah, exactly. And there is an issue. They just have some issues. And
if you think of it from like a hockey approach, it's you try not to have. You like your second line to be about as strong, or at least close to as strong as your first line. Mm-hmm. And so if they're not but ultimately, it's not a good idea, though, because they need to get reps together. They need to have playing time together because they need to ensure that they're as effective as can possibly be by the time they get to the playoffs. And you're not gonna do a 1-line and 2-line approach in the playoffs, and right. Just kind of like have one on the court and not the other. They should be able to feed off of each other. Mm-hmm. But in the regular season, they can rack up wins by having that kind of bench depth,
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we can switch topics here. Let's head on over to, you know what? Alexa, give me a Patriots burn.
Why is it so hard to play for the New England Patriots? You get really tired of singing. All I do is win, win, win.
Oh, that's not a Patriots burn. That's a bad one. That's an us
Could you give
burn.
us another one, please?
Alexa, give me a Patriots burn.
Why is it so hard to be a New England Patriots fan? Your index finger is permanently stuck in the number 1 position.
Those aren't burns. She's burning us.
Yeah, right.
Jesus.
Anything else? Maybe one more?
Yeah, Alexa, give me a Patriots burn.
What sport should Tom Brady switch to? Softball.
Okay, that's better. That's better. Let's go out on that note.
Yeah, we'll reach back to Alexa in a little bit. We'll see what she has to say. Maybe when we get a little somber, if we get a little dull, we'll get cheered up by Alexa, because she also has Alexa, give me a Rams burn.
Having the Los Angeles Rams as a rival is no fun. There aren't any fans to argue with.
That is funny.
That was a good one.
All right.
Very good. Very good. All right. Okay. So let's move on to.
There's your NFL talk.
Yes.
For this Monday.
Yes, exactly. All right. So let's head on over to
because we're not talking about the Pro Bowl. I don't even know who won. Who won? Do you know?
AFC crushed the NFC.
Did they? Yeah. I know. My boy Xavier Howard.
It was like 27-7.
Had an interception. That's all I know.
It was like 27-7, and I think, and they said the AFC's defense destroyed the NFC.
Yeah,
and I was like,
I
what
did.
defense?
I saw the pick, and I saw the Xavier Howard pick, and that was it.
Yeah, so
it's a highlight on Twitter.
It was not. I don't watch it. I just don't. I didn't even watch the skills challenge this year. It was not something I usually like to watch, but I didn't even watch it.
Back in the day, the skills challenge when Marino was involved was just awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man,
when Marino was still here.
Yeah. I have zero interest in any NFL All-Star related events.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's a crap show.
It is not what you want. All right, so Royal Rumble happened. Give me your. I want to hear a little brief review on what happened, who won the Royal Rumble, and maybe what you think might happen going forward.
Okay. Not a lot of surprises.
Wait. Because I didn't do this.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Now you can go.
So overall, I actually give this event a 4 out of 5. It was a solid event. It was predictable in a number of ways, but it was very solid. I'll talk about basically a couple of the championship matches, and then the two Royal Rumbles themselves, the Women's Royal Rumble and the Men's Royal Rumble. So the first match that kicked off the night was actually Asuka defending her SmackDown Live Championship against the man Becky Lynch. And Asuka, this didn't surprise me. This is where the predictability comes in. It didn't surprise me because I had a feeling that Asuka was going to win that match. She did get Becky Lynch to tap out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But that didn't shock me at all. In fact, I was happy when it happened because I was like, okay, somehow Becky Lynch is going to find her way into the Women's Royal Rumble. Because the fact that it was the first match of the night made it even more predictable. Because I was like, all right, so Becky loses in the first match, finds a way to get into the Royal Rumble, to snake her way into the Women's Royal Rumble, which will be later in the night. She'll have a little time to rest. She'll come in as a late entry, and she'll win. And that is exactly what happened. So Becky was, Lana was number 28 in the Rumble. And she had been hurt, I think, previously in the night on the kickoff show. She got hurt.
Yep.
And so she's trying to limp to the ring, and she can't get there, and she collapses, and referees come out, and officials come out to try and help her. And then all of a sudden, Becky Lynch shows up, and the place goes nuts because everybody was actually already kind of chanting for her at that point. Anyway, once they saw Lana starting to limp, everybody just started chanting for Becky to come in and to replace her. And so sure enough, Becky shows up, and the place went nuts. So they held this event at Chase Field in Arizona, which is a baseball stadium. And so it's a little bit of a different setup too than normal. Like all of the superstars came out of the dugouts and then up down a ramp to get to the ring.
Uh-huh.
And there were like 48,000, I think it was 48,193 people. So I don't think it was a sellout, but there were a lot of people there. You had almost 50,000 on hand for a Royal Rumble, which is probably an attendance record.
That's a lot, yeah.
Yeah. So, so Becky comes out. Fit Finley is there, and she's like begging Fit Finley to let her go in. Apparently, Fit Finley wields some strange authority. I don't know what his official title is, but they put him in a position of authority, and she's like, "Let me go in. She can't wrestle. Let me go in." And Fit Finley lets her in, and ultimately Becky does win. It comes down to her and Charlotte Flair, which was really good. It was they did a really good job with the finish, and Becky won. Place went nuts. Becky will go on to WrestleMania, or she will almost assuredly go on to face, I would imagine, Ronda Rousey, because when you win the Royal Rumble, you get to pick the champion that you want to fight. And even though Becky is on SmackDown and Rousey is on Raw, those two have been jawing at each other for a while. And
even though she just lost to Osaka? Like that.
She lost to Asuka.
Or Asuka.
But she could choose to face Asuka again in a rematch at WrestleMania, but I have a feeling she's going to choose to face Ronda Rousey. Huh. There are rumors also that Ronda Rousey is going to take some time off after WrestleMania to start a family. It would make sense for Becky to beat her possibly in the main event. I would love to actually see the main event of WrestleMania be between two women, because if it's between Becky and Ronda, that place will go completely bonkers if the main event is Becky and Ronda and Becky beats Ronda to become champion. That will take there's no roof on MetLife Stadium, but it would take the proverbial roof off the place. So I would say that that's where they're headed. Earlier in the evening, too, Ronda Rousey beat Sasha Banks to defend the Raw Women's title, so that set up well for a Becky-Ronda matchup. Over on the men's side, Brock Lesnar did his usual thing. He beat Finn Balor. You know, throughout most of the match, Finn Balor was like really the aggressor. He was running all over them, kicking Brock Lesnar in the face. You know, drop kicks everywhere. Mm-hmm. He even, he even hit his finishing move on him. Brock still got out, and then Brock immediately put him into the Kimura lock, and that was that. Mm. And Finn Balor tapped out. And on the SmackDown side, AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan defended the SmackDown Live Championship against AJ Styles. This was a weird match because Eric Rowan, from the Wyatt family fame, came out of nowhere to help Daniel Bryan. So apparently there and helped him. The referee got knocked out. Eric Rowan came in, basically hit some kind of a weird face palm choke slam on AJ Styles, and Daniel Bryan pinned AJ Styles, and he retained the title. And it looks like Daniel Bryan is starting some weird vegan faction with other bearded guys who wear plaid shirts. So I think that's where they're headed with that. And then in the men's Royal Rumble, this was a slight surprise to me, but very, very slight, because I basically thought it would come down to one of two guys to win this. Mm-hmm. Those were the final two guys that it came down to, which was Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman. It was only a tiny surprise because I was convinced that Braun Strowman was going to win so he could go face Brock at WrestleMania and beat Brock for the title. But Seth Rollins actually won. He eliminated Braun Strowman with a pretty cool, they were like battling on the outside of the rope, and Seth Rollins hit his curb stomp move on Braun Strowman on the outside of the apron, and Braun Strowman fell.
What is the curb stomp? Is it like the American History X curb stomp?
It's like, I mean, so like you're basically, the victim is like on all fours, and Seth Rollins puts his right leg up in the air, pushes it down on the back of the guy's head and into the mat.
Ooh.
So it's like a curb stomp.
Oh, that's pretty
They
bad,
don't call it the curb stomp anymore. They call it the stomp now, because the curb stomp was... They actually took the move away from him for a while because of its violence and because of the name.
Yeah.
And they tried like giving him some other finishing moves, and it just wasn't really going over well. So they brought it back, but they just called it the stop. They took the word curb away. so it lost its sort of mafia-esque tone or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, so they, and that was how the event ended. People were going nuts for Rollins. I think, they actually read the room a little better than they have in years past with the Rumble. Because I think, at one point, Strowman was looking like he was going to win, and he was not celebrating, but he was just doing his big monster roar, like, roar! And, the fans were actually not behind him the way I thought they would be, and they were really into Rollins. They wanted Rollins to win, and for the first time probably in a couple of years, wrestling fans actually got what they wanted at the Royal Rumble, and Seth Rollins did win. So it's setting up for, I would guess, Rollins. I don't think Rollins will choose to face Daniel Bryan. My guess is he'll stick to his brand and choose to face Braun. I do think Becky Lynch will cross brands to face Ronda Rousey. And, then we'll kind of go from there. Asuka will probably defend. Who knows? She might defend against Charlotte Flair again, like she did. She faced Charlotte last year. So I would imagine maybe they'll go in that direction again. But it was a good event. 4 out of 5. Very strong. Predictable, but still pretty well executed.
Cool. All right. Very good. 4 out of 5. That's pretty good. I think that anytime you get an 80% from the Bry Man on a pay-per-view, I think that's a pretty successful event.
Especially when it's one of the big 4. Those are the ones that you want to be well, to do really well. And Royal Rumble is like, in my opinion, it's kind of the number 2 overall event of the year behind WrestleMania because it sets you up for WrestleMania.
Yeah. All right. So what do you? You know what? After that, Alexa, give me a Patriots burn.
What should we bring when playing the New England Patriots? A ball pump.
That's another deflate joke. I like it.
Fine. It's fine.
A ball pump. Let's see. It's not wrong. Not wrong. All right. So, what else? Do you have anything else you wanted to talk about? I mean, that's really all we had on tap for today. There's not a lot of news that's going out there. I mean, MLB Hot Stove still. Well, we can say this. The
Hot Stove's cold right now.
Yeah, like Manny Machado and Bryce Harper are still not signed. Like that's. I mean, I could run.
And now the Padres are in the mix. It's just a weird. I don't know. It just goes to show you he is not getting the offer that he wants. Both of them really are not getting the offers that they want.
Right. I mean, They're
not there. The money's not there.
I have this. Where'd it go? I thought I had it on here. I have the free agents. Here it is. So I have all the free agents that are here, and like everybody's signing. Like there's still Nick Hundley, Matt Wieters, AJ Ellis. These are all like secondary and third kind of players.
Yeah, right.
Caleb Joseph. Like who cares? Chris Stewart. Drew Buchera. Mark Reynolds is still not signed. Duda.
The only rumor that might
Hanram still isn't signed. That's kind of odd.
I mean, especially with considering you could probably get him for like a minimum.
Cheap, yeah.
I can't even imagine him commanding any kind of salary.
Josh Harrison, Neil Walker.
The only thing that
Brandon Phillips still isn't signed. That's kind of. I mean, he's 38, but that's Mike Moustakas isn't signed. That's a little shocking.
I think the only thing maybe to keep your eye on would be if the Tigers decide to trade Nick Castellanos, who I actually like a lot. I like him a lot. But he hasn't drawn that much interest, to be honest. But again, teams are filling holes in other ways. Like that could have been a possible fit for the Dodgers, but then they went and signed Pollock, and that. And Pollock, you would think that. Not that the Dodgers were heavily in on Harper because I don't think they wanted to spend that kind of money, but you would think that them signing Pollock pretty much takes them out of any potential Harper deal. Yeah. So again, like the markets are just being squeezed for guys like Machado and Harper. Harper's I still think Harper's going to get paid more than Machado.
Yeah, I agree.
But I still think his market is limited. I mean, this just goes to show you what happens when the Yankees become more fiscally responsible. Yeah. It takes them out of a lot of, and that hurt. I mean, it must be driving the agents for these guys, Lozano and Boris, bonkers that the Yankees are not involved in either of them. Yeah. It's got to be driving them nuts.
I would assume so.
I love it as a Yankee fan who has wanted to see this team be a little more smart. I mean, look, let's not be ridiculous. The Yankees are still over the luxury tax. They are going to pay a luxury tax this year. It's not going to be much, but they're going to pay something, a couple $1 million, I think, at the most. But hey, there's still. If you're a Yankee fan, you really can't complain. They have a payroll well over $200 million. They're spending money. I just think they're spending it in the right places. I know a lot of Yankee fans are pissed because they wanted the splash, you wanted the Machado name, or you wanted the Harper on the marquee, and you're not going to get it. But you know what? At the end of the day, the Yankees will be better off for this in the long run. And these guys are just going to have to try and find dollars elsewhere. They're going to have to go to a team that they just didn't want to go to. Manny Machado's probably going to be forced to the White Sox. And look, if you're Harper, though, and you end up in Philadelphia, there are worse things. That's going to be a good team. That's a team with actually a good young foundation. There are worse landing spots for him. Machado, though, would have to take significantly less money than he wants and years if he wants to play for a contender. Yeah. Actually, strangely enough, there is still a chance for him to be a Yankee, but he would have to take, I would imagine, half the dollars and half the years that he wanted.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
So instead of 10 $300, think 5 $150.
Yeah. All right.
That's probably what it would take.
Yeah. So there's still a couple other good.
By the way, if you're the Yankees, 5 $150 for Manny Machado, I think you would actually have to do it. I think you would have no choice but to do it. I wouldn't want him. I still don't want him, but if you're the Yankees,
think it's a good fit.
Well, it's not a great fit because your infield is packed as it is.
Right, but then you're forced to trade. I mean, you can make moves. I mean, the good thing is that essentially you would have to force you to move Andahar and force you to move like Glaber or one of those two guys to see what you can do.
One of them for a pitcher.
And you'd have to go for a pitcher. But you can get a good pitcher too. So.
But at this point, we are about 3 weeks away from a pitchers and catchers report in about 2 weeks, and we're about 3 weeks away from position players. So, and again, so if you're trying to trade for a pitcher at this point, if you're the Yankees, you better do it soon.
Yeah.
Well, unless you're going to try and sign another free agent, But again, like who's out there? I don't want Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah, I mean, he is available still, and
another guy.
His
another
price
guy
could be getting really cheap, and if you could possibly sign him to a 1-year deal.
Oh, I would take him
a 1-year deal and
a 1-year prove it deal.
Prove it deal, yeah. Like prove that you still have it on. Like I don't know if he's even close to that. Like I'm sure he has offers.
I doubt it. I'm sure he's got more.
He's probably looking for like a 5-year deal or something like that, and he probably has several 3- and 4-year deals on the table. He just is waiting for that 5th. But
the guy that still surprises me that he's out there, because the guy I wanted most this offseason is Marwin Gonzalez. I can't imagine why a team would want him. The guy is so versatile. He's exactly the kind of guy you want on your team. Well, especially if you're a team that's probably close to winning, because he could just do so many things, fill so many holes for you if one of your superstars goes down.
Well, Dietrich
and even
can
at
do
that,
too.
he's still...
Derek Dietrich can do that too. I mean, he's one of those kind of guys as well. Maybe not quite as versatile, but he's one of those guys as well. He's available. I mean, he's a year younger. So
I do think that's why the Yankees got LeMahieu, because they look at him and they see a similar versatility, sans the outfielder kind of thing. Because Marwin Gonzalez can play outfield.
He can play outfield.
He could. Yeah. I mean, with his defensive skill set, you could easily put him in left field. I mean, easily.
Well, yeah.
I wouldn't put him in center, but you could probably put him in one of the corner spots.
You could definitely put him in left. And he is a more talented player than Marwin Gonzalez. I think he's a better player.
I won't argue the talent, but the clutch factor. Again, Marwin Gonzalez has been in a lot more postseason games.
Yeah.
And he's proven himself in those. And I love guys like that. So I don't disagree with you on the talent. DJ LeMahieu is probably a more talented player. But man, it shocks me that Marwin Gonzalez is out there. Shocks me. He was the one guy I really wanted the most this offseason. Mm-hmm. And I thought for sure, because of his versatility and because of the kind of contact hitter he is and the clutch factor, I thought for sure that was going to be a Cashman target. It seemed like a smart Yankee move. And they did it with LeMahieu, but I don't know. That still shocked me a little bit. It just shocks me that he's available. Right. What did happen? Oh, Nick Markakis signed back with the Braves. I think he wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And that's good. Good for him. He had his first... And good for him. He had his first All-Star appearance last year. finally at the age of 34 or 5 or however old Markakis is, and he got in with the Braves, and I'm happy because I've always been a big Nick Markakis fan, and I hope he has some continued success there with the Braves. It's probably going to be 1 year at a time at this point, but that's okay. It's a good fit. The Braves have quietly had a nice little offseason.
I mean, there are still a lot of decent players that are out there. I mean, you have Cargo, Carlos Gonzalez. He's out there. He's only 33, and if you get him in the right park, he could possibly put up some numbers. There are players out there that are like that could still be pretty effective. Then you have a look at the starting staff. I mean, Dallas Keuchel's still out there. And Gio Gonzalez is out there. I mean, these are guys that are proven. They're not aces anymore, but these are proven guys that can step up and play well over the course of a regular season that you would need. There's just a lot. There's a lot of talent that's out there that's not the first tier. And that's the weird thing with this offseason. Yeah. It's driving me up absolutely bonkers. I don't understand what. I'm glad these agents are kind of getting stuck to them a little bit because they have, especially Boris. And this happens to him once a year, where one of his clients ends up sticking it out and has to go through part of spring training with no team, or even longer. And I don't know. I'm not sure who Hanram has as an agent, but he's one of those guys that I wonder if I could find out who his agent is real quick.
I think the problem with Hanley Ramirez is that if you look at the kind of player he is, the strikeouts, he just does not fit into the modern baseball. I mean, yes, he's got power, and that, but I'll tell you, he just, the way baseball is going, sabermetrically, Hanram is not the kind of guy that you necessarily want on a team. It's so one-sided. Yeah. I actually, just real quick to get back to the Yankees, and this was something I was more happy for the guy, even though I don't think he's going to make the team. But I was very happy to see them sign Danny Farquhar, who I will, if he makes the team, I will absolutely refer to him as Lord Farquhar all year. No doubt about it. I mean, he will carry that nickname throughout the year if he makes the team. I don't think he'll make the team, but he is a great story because, it was last year that he collapsed in the dugout, I think with the White Sox. He had a brain hemorrhage or an aneurysm in the dugout. He was in critical condition, and the guy has fought his way back to actually being signed to a minor league deal. Now, look, if you're Danny Farquhar and you're trying to make the Yankees bullpen, that is a monstrous uphill battle.
Yeah.
There are 5 or 6, I would say there are 6 slots that are already filled. And that leaves, it depends on how many guys you're carrying in your pen. If it's 7 or 8, right? Mm-hmm. But there's maybe 1 slot potentially for him to win. And even at that, the competition is going to be difficult because if you think about it, all right, so you have Chad Green, Holder, Betances, Chapman, Ottavino, and who am I missing? Who's the 6th? There's another big name that I'm missing there.
Canley?
No. Who's the other big name that I'm missing there?
I don't know. Britton?
Yes, Britton. Thank you. So there's your 6 guys. 6 guys right there. Those guys are all guaranteed of making the team. All of them. So who are you competing with for potentially? Now, Farquhar would probably set himself up as a long reliever, I would think. Maybe a mid-innings guy to, maybe do some mop-up duty if they're getting pounded, or maybe if they're up big and they want to take a starter out in the 5th. He's probably in that kind of a role. But man, because there's still going to be other guys that he's competing with that are in spring training that are probably going to give him a push. I would imagine, I'm very high on Michael King, and I think Michael King has a very good chance of maybe making this team. He's you just watch some video on that guy. Oh my God, you could fall in love very, very easily. But there are going to be other guys that he's going to be competing with in that pen for that spot. And off the top of my head, I'm not sure who else is Ben Heller still maybe in the mix for a bullpen spot. It's still going to be tough. It's still going to be tough. But he's a talented guy, and I am rooting for him. I'd love to see him make this team just because it'd be a great story. And again, for the side thing of being able to call him Lord Farquhar all year, it'd be awesome. But I was happy for him, though. I was happy to see him make the team, or happy to see him get a contract. And you know what? If he has a good showing in spring training, maybe the Yankees do right by him and let him go and let him sign elsewhere. Yes,
Yep.
Kat.
We are getting barrage of not so great comments on the it's still going. That's great.
What's going on?
You'll have to check the feed later and see, because I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read it out loud, but it's not really all that nice. It's from Google, and I am not cool. I wish I could ban him from here, but I can't. So I would have to probably go to YouTube to do that. But all right. So what else do we have? Do we have anything else that you want to kind of mention on real quick?
No, not off the top of my head. I'm trying to see. I want to see these comments. All I see is Pink Floyd's message retracted comments.
Oh, I don't see anything retracted.
Yeah, that's all I'm seeing.
I do have. Yeah, this is awesome. All right, so anyway, we will. we can move on. So yeah, I mean, there are plenty of people in the Yankees organization that are going to be fighting for bullpen spots. So it is what it is. All right, is there anything else you want to talk about, or should we wrap up for the day?
I think we're good.
Okay. What's that?
I want to see these comments.
Yeah, well, you can go check it out on YouTube.com.
Working.
What?
It's not showing up in the live chat.
It's not? It should be. It's showing up on mine, that's for sure.
Damn it!
All right. So thank you guys for checking this out, and even you, because you are a viewer. Even though you are putting in some very inappropriate things, I hope you get some serious hate on YouTube. All right. Anyway, thank you guys for watching and checking us out. You can find us anywhere podcasts are played. You can find us at Sports and Sorts. You can find us at Shane and Bryman on Twitter. You can find us at Facebook.com/Shane and the Bryman. You can also find us at our website, which is www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com. And other than that, we hope you had a good day. And you can find me on Twitter at Einhornusfinkel.
You can find me on Twitter at _Bry_man.
All right. Thank you very much. And we will check you out again on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. And
Super Bowl preview.
Yes, that'll be our Super Bowl preview, our picks, and we will hopefully have... Well, hey, Alexa, give me another Patriots burn.
Why is it so hard to play for the New England Patriots? Your garage just can't fit one more Vince Lombardi trophy.
Ugh, that's not a burn.
It's not a burn. Alexa, last chance. Give me a Patriots burn.
Why is it so hard to play for the New England Patriots? Your garage just can't fit one more Vince Lombardi trophy.
You're repeating yourself.
You're embarrassing yourself.
Seriously. All right. Peace out, guys.
Stay classy. See you Saturday.